You are watching The Latest. Thanks so much for your company. I'm Aaron Young with you here this Friday night, returning to our story about the government's plans to roll out facial recognition technology. For more on this, I'm joined here at the desk by Paul Howie, General Manager of Smart Systems from NEC Australia. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, hello and welcome.
Well, how is it being rolled out around the world at the moment, and why has it taken Australia so long?
For us, we're about 40 countries across the world where we've rolled it out to. It's being used in a range of things from type of arrival and departure gates through to casinos, through to payment and etc. So we even do it for students online, where they do the online exam and we look at them and we recognise them through the exam and identify them so that they're the right person.
So you talk about it being used for about 40 years or so, but surely accuracy has gotten a lot better in that time.
Over the last few years, the accuracy has got much better, and for us, the accuracy keeps improving. So we do a lot of research into it, and each year we're seeing the accuracy improve many-fold.
You mentioned casinos have been using it for quite a while, obviously trying to identify gamblers or anyone who has an issue they don't want to have in the casino. You can see those cameras as you walk into Crown, of course, here in Melbourne. But we think of what happened in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Hotel and the fact that it's very hard, unless someone has a record, to be able to determine, but there may be a way around that.
Yeah, that's right. So normally you'd run it against a static watch list, but what you can do is enrol people in who may be going in and out of the casino a lot and say they're a person of interest.
Do people even realise it's being used?
I think in many cases they're informed. For example, we do it in our office, and as we enrol people through the office, we tell them that the facial rec is there as an option for an opt-in, and many people are quite comfortable with it.
Queensland's Premier says it needs to be put in place in time for the Commonwealth Games that happen there next year on the Gold Coast. 1.2 million spectators. Can it handle 1.2 million spectators, this sort of technology?
It can handle large crowds, and it really is about how many video feeds you're pulling in and then the size of the database with it. So you'd run very small edge databases so that you could run the technology very quickly.
We saw yesterday at the COAG meeting in Canberra the different premiers signing up to it, agreeing with it, saying it should be done, the Victorian Premier in particular. When people show their pictures from their licences, driver's licences, everyone says it doesn't look like them. So how do you make sure that it actually does work? Is a driver's licence enough?
Yes, it is. Even the quality of the driver's licence or a smartphone, anything like that. What we do is we pick up unique identifiers on the face. So it might be the distance between your eyes or the distance between your chin and your forehead, and we add those all together into a facial signature. That signature then is used to match you against a database.
When I go to the airport at the moment and I've got one of those passports that allows you through, it never accepts my photograph on the way in, on the way out of the country, but it does on the way in. I'm told that the machines these days are so specific that if you happen to be looking down, it doesn't work. Is that something that is a bit of an issue, though? Yeah,
so on some of the technology and some of that older technology you're seeing in the airport, it is sensitive to you looking up or down. The way we solve that is we put a display board above cameras so that you look up. But what we've been working on is really the tilt and the pan, which really means you can go side on, a tilt like this, or side on, and we'll get a better picture of you. So we do a 3D representation of your face to enable that.
So fingerprint technology has been around for a long time. How do you think the government's plan with facial technology will be different to that?
I think fingerprint is a technology which needs physical contact. What facial doesn't need is physical contact. So you're able to use it in scenarios where you weren't able to use fingerprints. So, for example, if you're walking through an entry to a stadium, we can pick you up on the entry without having to physically ask you to touch something.
And the cameras are that good. We see it in Hollywood films where you've got people behind the scenes, the FBI, etc., able to zoom in on someone's face, suddenly pull together a bit of an idea of who they are with that photograph. So that actually can happen here?
Yeah, we can have. We're actually doing it in a nightclub in Australia. So dim lights, they register on the way in with fingerprint and face, and then we pick them up at certain points in the nightclub.
Given that people know that this is coming, is there any way that people could disguise themselves to try and trick the cameras?
People talk about putting hats on. Hats mainly aren't a good disguise. Beards aren't too good a disguise. Obviously, if you hide your eyes, that is something that would impact the ability of the cameras to pick it up.
Are there any privacy concerns about this, though?
I think there are. So
talk to us about them.
Yeah, so privacy is important. So for people, it's around what are we using the data for, and how much data are we keeping and for how long. Our view is that you should only use the data you need and remove it when it's not needed anymore. So, for example, the watch lists that you use, that the police use, they're all really about persons of interest, not about the general population.
Can you understand, though, the people who get a photograph taken for their licence so that they can drive their car and have the freedom to get in their car, may be feeling a little bit worried about the fact that the government's using this to check to see whether or not they pose a terror threat?
Yeah, so the connection of the driver's licence databases is more about making sure people don't steal your identity. So if you register for a driver's licence in Victoria or New South Wales, at the moment, you could register as two different people. By connecting the databases, you could register as one person. So we really look for duplicates and matches to say, is that person really that person?
You ever get called Big Brother?
No.
All right, Paul Howie from NEC, thanks so much for your time this Friday night.
Thank you. Cheers.
There are concerns of a gap